It's time to rock and roll!
Hey, how you doing, listeners? This is Gina Versa. We're here on another episode of the Lawful Press podcast. We're talking Spider-Man 2, the video game, not the movie, which is also great, but it's still pretty good. Got my co-host as always, Diego. Diego, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I've waited so long to talk about this game, and
Yeah.
people know that because I've been annoying about it. But go ahead and continue the introduction.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, no, it's a great game. So then we have a great guest on as well. I was had the privilege of working under her on a show called Name Your Price. She has great tweets, funniest tweets. Tanaya, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
I am very tired. 2023 has not only included a slew of Marvel content that we have just previously earlier revealed to each other that we're kind of overwhelmed and tapped out with.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the whole year for me. So that's kind of where I am.
No, it
Yeah.
happens, I mean, even like scheduling podcasts and stuff like that, it's just like there's so much happening for people in the real world. There's so much to like take stock of, the holidays. We're in the holiday season officially now.
Mhm.
And it's just there's a lot to keep track of, and not to get into a whole rant because we're not here to talk about all the stuff I usually complain about on twitter.com. But like,
Yeah.
that is probably why people are just like not keeping up with these big franchise stuff anymore. Everyone's like, oh, it's like it's conspiracy against certain things, or oh, people just don't like certain, like there's definitely bad faith criticisms about like stuff like the Marvels, a movie I'm not interested in, but
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
even me, like, you can just see it. You see it. There's horrible stuff out there about that. But
I
like,
mean, Aquaman is also coming out, and I just found out about that. A part of it
Yeah.
is also the fact that there were strikes
Mhm.
happening. So marketing also mitigated, and people are not like realizing kind of like that's such a big part of us knowing that a movie exists is the actors being able to promote it on,
Yeah.
especially like on their socials and things like that. So like I actually found out because Jason Momoa got a TikTok
Oh, really? Okay.
and it showed up on my For You page. I had no idea this movie was coming out. So but
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna go see that either because I am tapped out with a lot of those movies. And I don't know. I'm having more fun playing Marvel games than I am engaging in the movies and the shows lately. Have just not been, it's not that they're terrible. I just think I'm like very disengaged in them.
yeah, and like,
Yeah.
again, it's like we all got just so much other stuff to worry about. Like that's why you can't keep up with every new episode of the new streaming show or whatever, every new
Mhm.
release every month or whatever. It's like sorry, that's a lot to do. Like, you had people's attention for 10 years. That's good. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got other
Yeah.
stuff to do now.
Yeah. It's other things. Yeah. But yeah, can you tell listeners just a little about yourself, just as an introduction?
Of course. I am Tanaya Ree, as I'm known on various platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. But I'm also known as Riri on Twitch. I am a partnered streamer on there, and I'm part of the Twitch guilds, the Twitch Black Guild and the Twitch Women's Guild. I raise money for charity on there. We've raised over $6,000 for charity, but I also stream gaming. I recently beat Spider-Man 2, and I'm also playing Baldur's Gate 3, which has been a lot of fun. But I also do cooking, I do comedy, improv, I do art, basically whatever calls to me, because I am a polymath and I don't believe people should box themselves in. I think everyone is multi hyphenated.
Mhm.
So I think, do whatever you want with the time that you have. That's how I feel. Like I feel like I've been pressured by society to try to like box myself in, but I don't want to do that. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's who I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah,
No,
that's
more
awesome.
power to you. Yeah.
Hmm.
Everyone spends too much time trying to think like what's their quote unquote brand or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
Your
I like
brand is
cooking.
literally just yourself, because people are like, okay, if I'm going to be a cooker, Like, right, I'm going to be a chef. That's all I'm going to do. Even though I also want to do travel content, or I want to talk about Marvel and
Mhm.
comics and things like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's kind of how the social algorithm has worked for a long time, but it's not necessarily how all platforms work anymore. And it's not how people work. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to get away from that mindset of like branding myself into a a entity of like one singular thing, because I think as creatives, like we all are, like
Mhm.
we have varied interests, and that's fine.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Exactly, and I've definitely told this to Gene before, and I'll tell you right now too. Like,
Mhm.
uh, when we were first starting this podcast, you know, a lot of podcasts were like, "Oh, we're going to talk about comic book movies. We're going to talk about
Uh,
this show. We're going to talk about
yeah.
Star Wars or whatever." And it's not even anything against any of that stuff,
Yeah.
but one of the happiest decisions I've ever made about this podcast is that we didn't specify it specifically to talk about one thing only. It's like, no, we're just going to talk about whatever we want to talk about with our
Yeah.
friends. That's
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
And if we didn't do that, I think we would have stopped a long time ago.
Yeah. I think
Yeah, it would have
yeah.
not been fun. Plus, it's like there's already an oversaturation of like uh I guess geekdom or fandom
Yeah.
discussions that they
Yeah.
box themselves in as like, okay, we're the sci-fi nerds or we're the comic nerds, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like, of course, the granular, like, okay, we're gonna talk about all things nerd. But it's like, what if you also have an interest in like movies in general? So you've only boxed yourself in now to talking about nerd stuff.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Doesn't seem very appealing. Yeah. I don't know. If I had to like talk about Star Wars every week, I think I'd go like crazy or need like more therapy. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 Especially considering like there hasn't been a lot of movement with Star Wars stuff lately.
Yeah.
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 Although shout out to Andor, which we did like on this
Yeah.
podcast.
I loved Andor. Andor was
Yeah.
so good. Have you
Yeah.
guys been
Yeah.
watching the new Kaiju show?
Yes,
Oh,
actually. We were
Monarch.
just
That's
talking about
actually
that.
Yeah.
pretty good on Apple TV as well. Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
That's a really fun show. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, here we usually just ask the guests like, what have you been watching lately? But I assume that's what you've been watching lately.
Yeah, I've been watching that. I watched Invincible as well.
Oh,
The
cool.
new season, well, season part
Two?
two, or part one, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and what else have I been watching? I haven't actually been watching a lot of stuff on television because I feel like I create more than I consume lately.
Hmm.
But I like a slew of things. Like I love films, I love anime, been watching Samurai Champloo.
Oh,
I
I
also
love that
just,
show.
Nice.
I love music. I've been dabbling in doing more music lately. Um yeah, I have like a varied interest. So it is very hard for me to say like, oh yeah, I just like love, video games and like nerd stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, yes, but I like so much stuff.
Yeah.
I
Oh
watch
yeah.
like weird ASMR videos too, where they're like role playing,
Hmm.
like being in a dentist's office, oddly enough, or like one of
Oh,
those
okay.
ear doctors or eye doctors, even too.
Yeah.
And they're just like, it's like oddly relaxing.
It seems,
And then
yeah.
I watch like ear cleaning videos. So yeah, my interests are very
Mhm.
varied in what I watch.
I
Oh
was,
no, this is
I,
great because I haven't had the chance to talk about this yet, but like so I just kind of got into TikTok more recently this year.
mhm.
Like I post like once every 6 months. It's not like I'm not trying to do anything there, but I one of my favorite like just random interests on there is those people who are like kind of using it like a portfolio for acting or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
then they'll do like their favorite like sort of like fantasy or YA tropes, and like you kind of catch them like quote unquote in the middle of the story, and they're like the moment when the villain whatever or the moment when the love interest whatever, and I'm like,
Mm.
this is like really impressive stuff. Like
Yeah.
if I wanted to be an actor and I was a lot younger, like that's probably what I would try to do too. And so like I find like little niche things like that super fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's cool to hear that other people have like very specific niche interests in those little short form
Yeah.
videos too.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say ear cleaning videos. I'm also a fan. I'm gonna throw that out there because they're very satisfying when that huge thing of wax just like comes out.
Yeah.
And then the patient's just like,
It is like there's something like just so relaxing about like pimple popping and
mhm,
like ear cleaning. Like normally it would be gross, but like it's so satisfying to see it just be removed.
yeah,
I'm just like, oh yeah, they got it. Good.
mhm, by a professional.
Um yeah. So I watch a lot of weird stuff like clips like that. And then just like, I don't know, sometimes I even will find myself watching like ghost story stuff too. Like it
Oh,
really, I don't know, like it depends on the day. So
yeah,
I definitely do consume content. It's just not always like television and film stuff.
yeah. That's yeah, in good company because yeah, we yeah also watch like random stuff too. Yeah.
So, what better time to transition to our main topic,
Uh-huh.
which is very specific, and it's Spider-Man 2. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean,
Best. Mm-hmm.
it's kind of, if not the biggest game of the year, it's one of the biggest games of the year. Um, I've talked a lot about how I also kind of hopped off video games for a while. I haven't bought a console since high school. And so I
Okay.
bought a PlayStation specifically for this, and
Just for that.
just for that. Like I played the other games like with friends and relatives,
Mm-hmm.
and so like I'm caught up on all the story. But it's I guess we could all just talk about like history with this franchise in particular, the Insomniac Spider-Man games, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows Spider-Man. I couldn't tell you the first time I saw Spider-Man or anything like that, but um Gene knows this firsthand because there was a lot of hype when that first game was coming out in
Yeah.
2018. And I thought
Yeah.
it didn't look very good. And I wasn't trying to be a sourpuss. I was just
Really?
like, I
Yeah.
think there's the voice acting for
He
Peter
was
in this.
complaining.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And then I play the game, and it's like one of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had with the
Mm-hmm.
game. I'm
You cried.
crying at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wrong. And then I also loved the Miles Morales game, which
Also good.
I wish was longer, but I mean, it was great. The
Mm-hmm.
quality continued. So now I'm here, and I'm curious about where you two stand with
Mm.
the Insomniac Spider-Man games up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, I guess
Oh
if you want
no,
to
I'll
go
let you go.
first, Gene.
Oh, you can go first.
So for me, I was very excited. It was the most anticipated game of 2018 for me. It actually came out like when I got to Los Angeles because I moved here in
Nice.
2018. And it's ironic because I'm leaving Los Angeles when I finish the game. So I feel like it's like full circle. I mean, I would love to come back, but you know, it's kind of like a nice like beginning and closure to like a chapter in my life because Spider-Man has actually been so much a part of my life. Like it is Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. It has been since I was a kid. I grew up watching the animated series. I was obsessed with the Universal ride. I was obsessed with the Activision games, with the very hokey Venom,
Yeah.
just like comedic Venom. I so when they announced that they were doing another Spider-Man game, I was ecstatic. And I remember the first time I opened it up and I was just like, it was August of 2018, and I when I was playing it, and I remember my roommate was playing it on the side of the other screen, and I was playing it on this screen, and we were just like enamored by the fact that we could just swing through, and the swinging was so dynamic. It was just like crazy because in previous Spider-Man games, he would just swing through the air somehow. There was no
Yeah.
like rhyme or reason to it. So like I think Insomniac has brought so much to what Spider-Man is and the dynamics of it, the animation. Uh I think that normally I would be like, why are they doing another? There's already been so much Spider-Man content, but I actually think it was a great refresh to the series to not only bring fans back to it, but also make new fans of this character because this character is dope. And it's something that I think, you know, the movies tried to some extent, but I don't think truly encapsulated, you know, what Spider-Man is, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree because yeah, he's like yeah, great character. Like Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, of all the Marvel characters, yeah, it's like the one like just everyone gravitates to because it's just like, anyone could be him, you know? And yeah.
Exactly. Like he's every man. He's like working class. He still has to like pay bills, pay rent, like
Yeah.
he's like struggling there
Hmm.
financially. He's struggling in his relationships with like, his family and his dating life. And yet
Yeah.
he's still like puts on the mask and like bears the great responsibility that he has. And I think that is very relatable to so many people because obviously we're juggling so many different things.
Yeah. That does not happen to Batman or anything,
Yeah,
Which like not
No,
I
because Batman is a rich socialite. And that's the thing.
yeah.
It's like, I like Batman too, but I don't relate to Batman because Batman, he has the burden that I think a lot of people have, which is like childhood trauma,
Hmm.
but he doesn't have I guess, the crux of like having to be born into like a working class family or middle class family and really have to like be a superhero also in that process, like
Yeah.
to hold it
Mhm.
together for friends and family while you're like trying to just like, I guess, take over the world or save the world, at the same time and then pay bills. Like it's wild. Like I think like I think also Insomniac does that even better in 2. You really see
Hmm.
like the consequences of what he has to do, like especially with the fight with May, or excuse me, the fight with Mary Jane.
Hmm.
That whole conversation of like you're the neglect and things like that, and it's like all of what she's saying is valid, by the way. And it's just like, wow, like you really get like the sacrifices people have to make in their lives to do certain things in life and to be certain things even.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's all completely fantastic, and I'm in complete agreement with it. And not to pit it against Spider-Man or Batman. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. I think
Hmm.
he's when all this is said and done, all the superhero boom stuff is said and done, I think Spider-Man's gonna be one of the few guys that sticks around in public consciousness. And I think the working class angle is a good example of that. And in some ways, even though he has spider powers,
Hmm.
um, he feels more grounded than a character like Batman, who has no
Yeah.
powers. Like
Yeah.
Batman feels much more like fantastical. Gotham's not a real city. New York City is. Um, Bruce Wayne's problems with the city are much more metaphorical, and there's like economic stuff there too, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
Peter Parker has to run from like day job to day job to staying up all night as Spider-Man. Like in the first
Yeah.
game, he becomes homeless.
Yeah, he
Yep.
gets evicted.
Like I was
Yeah.
so
So
flabbergasted in a great way that narrative was so like human and empathetic and just like it was so well realized. As someone who has not felt there's been a very good Spider-Man movie in a long time, I
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
thought
Or
this
like yeah.
handled Spider-Man narrative in general. Comics are like a whole other story.
Yeah.
Like we don't have time to get into
Yeah,
all that, but
he can't really have development anymore in the comics. He just kind
no,
of yeah,
and so
resets.
these games have really like really tapped into something that was just not. I felt like it wasn't possible anymore, and so I'm really grateful for that. And we'll also say full spoilers from here on out. We can just
Yeah.
dive right into the game now.
Oh
Um,
yes.
yeah. Where do you even start? Because like a lot happened in Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point
It's a
where
lot.
maybe just like because I love this game. I think it's one of the most like exciting game experiences I've ever had. At times when I'm playing it, I'm like, it feels like the biggest game I've ever played. Like at times, like it gets like fucking huge by the end. Um, I would say maybe too much happens sometimes in the
Mm.
game. I think it's so fast paced by the second half that I'm like, I would like to slow down a little bit. But that really is kind of just my biggest, not even hang up. It's just like, yeah, I could have used a little more time spread out in terms of like the plot stuff, because the character stuff is like really rich and the
Yeah.
set pieces are like just mind blowing
Oh yeah.
how good they are. Like I guess let's talk about that. uh what's everyone's favorite like set piece in this game, or boss fight, I guess.
Yeah, that's close. I think I'm just gonna say the boss fight where you fight basically your Miles and you fight Peter, and he's like full symbiote. He goes like full like Venom, I guess, and all the stuff there, because that was a that's a very that was actually a very difficult boss fight, I guess, for me. That took me like so many tries. Um, but it's like also cool. It's also like interesting because it's like all the stuff between like Miles and Peter, and it's like his his partner that has to like save him from like the symbiote, and like he's the one that's like taking him out from the symbiote and like just Venom. And yeah, it's yeah, it was like that was really compelling. I love that boss fight actually. Yeah.
I think for me, my favorite boss fight and set piece was definitely one of the Venom fights where Peter is fighting Venom at the school, the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And like I loved like the context of it because we see that high school in the very beginning of the game. It's like a significant thing where they go and Harry and them bond. So I thought that was cool that ended up being where they had their like basically last altercation with each other,
Yeah.
and how that was done, and basically floating particles of the school, which was super dope. And then like the creepy like freaking like gross things that pop up as well. Like it was really really cool seeing that like from a design standpoint.
Yeah, that entire like 3-act Venom fight basically
Mhm.
was just mind blowing. I think the lizard is maybe like the most technically impressive boss fight I've ever
Mm-hmm.
played. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't believe what I was doing with that entire thing, but yeah, like just the emotion of that final fight too. And I want to shout out the developers for not backing down from the many criticisms they got about the Mary Jane stuff in the first game,
Oh yeah.
which I've never disliked.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, she is like more Lois Lane than my idea of MJ, but like
Mm-hmm.
also it's a video game and like you
Yeah,
can change stuff. It's fine
I
to me, but
actually love that she was popping off, and
oh yeah,
especially in this one, like she was
Yeah.
doing more stealth in the first one. In this one, she has a full out like gun basically that she
yeah,
Yeah.
uses to stun people, which I think is super dope because it makes it so like she is not just like the damsel in distress, which I've seen so much in like the movies. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, she needs to get saved again. And I'm like, the interesting thing is I recently watched Spider-Man 2 again because
Oh, the
I love
movie. Yes.
Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Tobey Maguire. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sam Raimi's great. I don't care.
no,
Evil
we
Dead,
You love him.
great.
we're pro
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raimi trilogy, frankly
I
here.
know they're super
Yeah.
campy, but I love them.
No, I think they're
Yeah.
And
great.
I watched Spider-Man 2 recently, and at the very end of the film, it it's basically like she says like, or he says like, I spent a long time like saving you and you're saving me. And I
Mm.
thought that was interesting because I'm like, I don't really see that in the movie though. Like I get it, but I don't really see it. And then in this game, I do see that. Like not only is she there for like emotional support, she's actually there literally to help, you know, carry on this dream that Peter has built. And I think that's like so beautiful, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think like we in talking about that conversation of my other favorite boss fight, which was with big spoiler Scream, who ended
Mm-hmm.
up being Mary Jane, which I thought was such a freaking cool way to bring in
Yeah.
more symbiotes. Like that fight was so significant to me. Like it was very emotionally charged, and like it made a lot of sense because it's like it's balance, right? It's like balance and not giving the idea that the dude is just like the hero in the relationship. Like most people don't want to be people's sidekicks. They want to be equals. And I think that's like such a beautiful way for the game to like show that.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. No, it's like also too, yeah, like having Mary Jane like be like Scream too, like this like deep cut from like the 90s, like that was really interesting. And yeah, like and then too, like she quits too, the Daily Bugle right after that boss fight. It's like
Mhm.
really good like development. Like I've never and I can't think of any other games where like the boss battles and like the story like goes so hand in hand with like developing the characters. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
cool.
feel like very exciting to play, but
Yeah.
they're all also like so essential to the actual development of like the narrative and the
Yeah.
character
Mhm.
decision and stuff. And I think that's like
Yeah.
sort of the
Yeah.
secret sauce to these games.
They were
you
very
know?
like the ones between Harry and May especially were like very emotionally charged for sure.
Yeah.
And I also think like they integrated so many villains well. Like that's something that I think is harder to do for movies, obviously, because of time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they literally had like so many, like like Scream,
Mhm.
Venom, technically Lizard,
Yeah. Mysterio.
Sandman, Mysterio was integrated. Like so many villains were integrated here, which I also think is cool because I feel like if they wanted to do Sinister Six, they could now because pretty much everyone is like introduced at this point. And
Mhm.
it looks like they might actually do that because uh Green Goblin goes to Doc Ock at the end, and I kind of think it was like a little nod to maybe setting that up for the third game. And I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear from y'all like what villains y'all expect from the third game.
Well, like
Yeah.
because they did
Mhm.
kind of do Sinister Six in the first game, but like they also didn't like. There's no fight where you fight all six at the same
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Like it's a cutscene. So
Yeah.
I love that you said that because I would love to see that too.
Yeah.
I don't know who else
villain.
I
Who else do you
want.
bring?
Um, like because just so receptive to whatever this team wants to do at this point. I
Mhm.
haven't thought about like, oh, I hope I see this. I do just want Green Goblin like
Yeah.
the whole game next
Yeah.
time.
Like to finally see him, into his
Yeah.
like arc of like, my wife died and now my son's gonna die.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I don't have anything to live for anymore, so I'm just gonna cause chaos arc. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's someone off a bridge.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I love these games. I would like for them to not have a villain for the first half and a villain for the second half for the last. Like I'm pretty sure the next one is the last one they're gonna do. Which
Yeah.
I'm fine
Seems
with.
like it.
We'll see. But I would like Green Goblin the whole time and other villains. Like I guess
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like the goofy guys. Like I love Big Wheel. Like he gets a
Big
reference in
wheel.
this, like
Uh
with the big Ferris wheel at Coney Island. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
to me that'd be like very fun.
that
Like
is a
because
good nod.
like especially for like Miles, like because now he's the Chief Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about Miles, but like I really like his stuff in this too. Like because
Oh
it's
yeah.
very
Mhm.
like low key. It's like just hey, who are you? What do you want to do? And he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm Spider-Man. I can't focus on that right now. And it's like, well, I think that's part of the benefit of like the writing in this. It's like, yeah, it's easier to like just double down on things that don't involve your personal life. Because then
Mhm.
you have to start asking yourself some hard-hitting questions. And those are hard to figure out, like everyone can
Yeah.
relate to that,
Yeah.
especially when you're in high school and you're applying to colleges and stuff like
I
that.
think
It's like,
it's like I feel like it's an all life thing. Like I think we told ourselves that it's like we'll figure it out in our 30s or in our late 20s, and then we got there and we're like, yeah, nah, it's a forever thing figuring that out because you may
Yeah.
not know what you want to do. And I think the game also handles that existential question really well. I'm like, I played this really at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dang, that she's like, I don't really want to do this anymore. And I'm like, girl, I relate.
Yeah.
But I say that because also like I don't know if you guys got to the side story stuff, but
I did.
they okay, so Carnage is
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
wait. That's
So
one of
I'm like,
sure that'll be
okay, well now
DLC,
they're
yeah.
gonna introduce more symbiotes. Like, is that
Mhm.
gonna be its separate side story, or is that gonna be a part of this main story now? Because technically, uh, I guess uh the corporation that was handling it before is a part of the same lab that was trying to help Harry. So I don't know if that's like something that they're going to work together and I don't know, try to take over the world.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to kind of see how that story comes together. Or is it just going to be complete chaos because it's Carnage and he doesn't give two, blips?
Mhm. Yeah, he's a like sociopath. Well, in the game, you guess he's like a cult leader, so he's just like even worse.
Yeah, I think in the comics, I guess he was like an escaped convict or something.
Serial killer.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, he made it to so many kids shows. They have adapted Carnage somehow.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
wild considering the
it's
origins of that character.
serial killer character. I'd
Yeah.
love to see, obviously Green Goblin. I really want to see Chameleon because that was
Ooh.
that was like a good cliffhanger. I don't want say too much. But
No,
like
I think you could. I think
yeah,
it's safe to say you could say it for
mhm,
the spoiler stuff.
yeah. But like Chameleon is Chameleon is like an interesting villain, just like someone that like just steals your identity. Yeah. He's also Craven's like I forgot what it is, half brother.
He's
Like
his
it's
half
like
brother. He's his
he's
half
like step
brother.
brother. They keep changing it.
Yeah, yeah, comics, all that fucking.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense then to
Yeah. What?
continue Craven's story. Then, yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, you could have Craven has like 4 or 5 kids in the comics.
Yo,
So
but
you could have
that Craven decapitation though,
yeah, I was
That was a
I was
little
surprised.
not
intense.
expecting that. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, so yeah, he's dead. Okay.
Yeah, it's not coming back.
I was like, all right, well.
Yeah. But yeah, he has like kids that look exactly like him and do like everything he does as well. So I guess you could have like one of those.
Comics are
Also,
so
yeah,
ridiculous. Like,
I know they're like they're crazy. Like they're really like
Multiple Cravens, that's wild.
mhm. Yeah, multiple ones. I still kind of read comics here and there, but like when I think about it, I'm like, what do like people that don't read this like think about like Craven having like 5 kids or like he has like an alien son in the comics.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's like called like I think it's like called Gog or he lives in the Savage Land. Like what do people think about this? It's just
if
like
everyone was
so
on
nonsense.
drugs, that's what it
Yeah,
was. It
probably.
just
But yeah, no, villains for some of the dead villains I was thinking, well, I guess they kill off like Scorpion, Vulture, but I'd like
Yeah.
to see I'm like I noticed that they killed villains where there's like a Vulture 2 or like a 3, there's like Electro 2. I'd like to see like that second version of like one of those guys that got killed off, like someone that like takes up the mantle because it's like the I noticed that
that is like a recurring Spider-Man thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Like,
yeah.
I guess part of I have less of like a villain wish list and more of
Uh-huh.
like I would like to see Green Goblin kind of build up like his villain henchman, like
Oh yeah.
maybe is like, okay, we got this Scorpion technology. Let me give
Yeah.
that to maybe it's not
It's
Matt
a random
Gargan
guy.
anymore. It's the other one now.
Yeah.
We got the Vulture wings. All right, give that to someone else. You got the Shocker gauntlets. Give it to another Shocker.
Yeah.
Just
That's
stuff like
true.
that. Like I
Yeah.
think that could be kind of fun. Or you have to
Yeah.
fight like maybe because Oscorp is like a big bio weapons manufacturer, whatever. It's like
Hmm.
okay, so now the Oscorp henchmen have the Shocker gloves. So you got to fight like mini bosses or whatever like that. Like I think that could be kind of fun, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty open to whatever they got in store.
Yeah. Do you guys want like a classic Goblin or like I guess like Hulk Goblin if you've seen like the Ultimate Comics where he just turns into like a Hulk-like creature?
I want Waves Goblin. I want him to have the sickest waves in the world
Yes.
because I'm sick
Yeah.
of this. Like we have not seen Waves Goblin, and that's what I'm trying to see. Just Air Max waves,
Hmm.
maybe a fade. That's what I'm vibing on.
Watch that be the first look for their Spider-Man
Norman
3.
goes through his Norman goes through his like I guess midlife
Midlife
crisis.
crisis, yeah.
And he's just
Yeah.
like, look at my sick board
Hmm.
and my waves.
Peter,
Yeah.
check out my waves.
Yeah, he's like what, like 50, so it's like he could
Yeah.
have that midlife crisis. Yeah.
But Gene, I do want to see classic Goblin.
Classic
I think
Goblin.
we'll
Yeah.
probably get the mutant Goblin for like the end
Yeah.
game or something like that. But I really love the weirdness of like, oh yeah, there's a medieval goblin on this giant
Uh,
like robot bat.
Spider. Yeah.
That's Spider-Man's main villain. Like
Yeah. There was his
Jack
girlfriend off the
Kirby, how'd you
bridge.
come up with that? And it's like like this is so weird. Like
Hmm.
there's no other hero villain like duo like that, and
Yeah.
like it does like if you explain that to like an alien who's like, oh, what's a Spider-Man character about, who's never been to Earth before, right, and they're
It's a
reading comics
goblin.
for the first time, it's like, oh, this is Spider-Man, oh, he has the powers of one of your spider creatures, so his main villain is like something poisonous, right? And they're like, no, it's this goblin.
It's a goblin.
What?
Yeah.
Like you would sound insane, you know? And so to me, I just love that weird juxtaposition. So I want to see something that strange in a video game.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully no bridges are involved. I'll throw that out there again.
Yeah.
Because what it. I hate Norman's like the worst too, you know?
Yeah, but that's why
He's-
he's one of the best
yeah.
ones, because he's super fun to hate.
Mhm.
Is there anything specific we want to highlight as we start to wrap up a little bit here? Anything we really want to talk about, or that maybe you guys weren't crazy about in the game? Because I know there has been plenty of criticism about some of the elements of the game.
Yeah. I was gonna sorry.
I was gonna say, like, for me, like, I always do prefer the main story stuff, but like I didn't mind most of the side story stuff this game. I just felt like it was a little repetitive, and like I like the stuff where it carries and moves the story, and I thought the Mysterio stuff was cool because each thing in the Mysterio thing was like slightly different.
Yeah.
But like when it's like, okay, do this task or this puzzle, and then it's like the same dang thing, that does irk me. Like I don't like redundancy and having to be redundant to level, which is why I stay away from certain games that force me to do habitual things in order to level up and progress in the game. Like I like variety. So
Yeah. That's well said. Yeah. I was gonna say that my thing for me is like, I don't know, it's like weirdly specific, but like I guess like if they're gonna do a symbiote game, did anyone feel it was kind of weirdly similar towards the end to Web of Shadows, the 2008 game?
It's
Like there was
super
some
similar, but
yeah.
maybe this is controversial. I think this is like way better. I hope that's not controversial. I don't know.
That game was okay. Did anyone
It's a
else?
fun concept, and
Yeah.
it makes sense to like, because they kind of remix other Spider-Man narratives in
Right.
these games, and it's like, hey, the Venom symbiote isn't just one guy anymore. It's not just on one person at a time. It's like it's an alien that's spreading throughout like everyone. Like
Yeah.
to me, that's like exciting. And then, like with the MJ fight that we talked about earlier, I think that
Mhm.
brought a lot of it brought a lot of character drama with it. It wasn't just like spectacle for the sake of spectacle,
Right.
even though like I didn't realize they were getting that big with it. So when the symbiote
Mhm.
starts taking over everything, I was like, oh, this is kind of wild that we're going through this, and you're like swinging through the symbiote tunnels and stuff. It looks like
Yeah.
an alien hive from Aliens or something. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah. So I think this is way cooler, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, no, yeah, it was way better than that game because that game's like, yeah, I don't know. It was very whatever. Spider-Man Web of Shadows, but
I haven't played that one. Didn't even
no,
play it.
yeah, it was
No.
like it just
it
came
is
and
it
went.
is a good time, but it's like the gimmick of it is, in this universe there's like other superheroes, but we don't see them, right? In Web of Shadows,
Yeah.
it's like, well, now the Vulture has the symbiote, now Wolverine has the symbiote. You got to
Yeah.
do like boss battles with them and stuff like that. And it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, like it sounds super fun. Like you play the game and you're like, yeah, that was fun, and then you
Yeah.
forget about it until someone brings it up on a podcast 15 years later.
Sorry.
So, no, I'm
Yeah.
not like mad. I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
like a
definitely
fine
think
game.
they probably drew inspiration from that, though, since it was
Yeah.
15 years ago. Like, I think
Mhm.
they've honestly integrated a lot of things probably from previous Spider-Man games, but I think they've just executed it better,
Yeah.
which I think is honestly what is good about adaptations of things. Like, you would want it to evolve and grow better. Otherwise, what is the point in making it? An adaptation,
Yeah.
at that point, just make your own IP.
Yeah.
Pretty
Completely.
much. Yeah. I was gonna say, anyone think where were the Avengers and the Fantastic Four? Like, I wish that was handled just like I hate to like nitpick, but like a little bit better. Could have just been they're like off world or like there's a sign or something on the building like see you next week. We're on vacation.
Yeah, gone
Yeah.
fishing.
Gone fishing. Yeah.
There was the Avengers building in the first game,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I didn't see it in this one.
Oh, it's like it's there. I think it's like by kind of like Oscorp or around that area.
It's like on the northeast side of
Yeah.
Manhattan, I think.
I wonder
but-
if it's just like a copyright thing, but I've also wondered that of like when are we actually going to see like maybe another superhero, like other than just Miles? Because like obviously they exist, and I feel like with the addition of them just increasing the amount of like villains that are probably going to be in Spider-Man 3, it would actually make sense for like maybe more than Black Cat to show up. You know what I mean?
You know, Black Cat, and then Wraith in this one, you can run into Wraith after completing that story,
Wraith,
right?
Yeah.
And you can interact with her out in the streets and stuff like that. And so I was talking to Gene about this a while back, where if the rumor is they're doing a Daredevil DLC or something like that, right? Which I would love.
I would love that.
And so if they're trying out this technology for you to like interact with Wraith or Miles or Peter, whoever you're playing as, you run into them out in the world where they're fighting crime, whatever, you know, you could wave, fight crime with them, fight the aliens, whatever. Maybe they're doing they're like testing grounds for Spider-Man 3 where they could get the rights to more superheroes or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's Spider-Man swinging around New York, and there's Kitty Pryde or something like that, you know? Because they got the X-Men rights too for Wolverine.
Yeah, they have Wolverine. Yeah.
Oh, that would be dope.
Yeah, then that's
Insomniac doing a Wolverine game, that would be sick.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, they said that they're doing one.
Ooh.
Oh no, they had an announcement.
I would even like a Daredevil game, honestly. Like, we haven't really actually had a Daredevil game, so that would actually be like filling a void. Also a void of like literally my favorite Marvel show. I loved that show.
Like, so good.
I was so bummed when it went away, but I'm glad they reacquired the rights. So hopefully something gets done with that, because I do think he's another one where I'm like, he is a superhero, but he deals with like, you know, I guess regular person things as well, and has a disability, you know? So like as someone who does have a chronic illness or a disability, like it's cool to see more superheroes with disabilities like portrayed in the media. So Daredevil's like my second favorite superhero.
Good choice.
For that reason. Yeah. Plus he's all about justice, you know, doing the right thing.
Oh big Daredevil fans here, especially that third season. I've ranted about how good that third season is.
The stunt coordination and the camera work was just like top notch. Like it is to me still Netflix's like best show.
Yeah,
I'm in complete agreement. Frankly, I think that's the best superhero season of television ever. But
dang, okay. I think I'm gonna have to agree though.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Loki season 2, but I think I'm gonna have to agree.
Yeah.
I'll watch Loki someday. I'm no Loki hater. I actually like Loki quite a bit, but I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh man, okay, so that Daredevil DLC, maybe we'll have to bring you back when that comes around, because I'm pretty sure that did get leaked on accident.
Ooh, I think I didn't hear about that, but I'm excited about that. That makes me pumped. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. See, look, it's all good vibes here on the Waffle Press podcast.
Yeah, you could find you could find the hand, like something you could find like the hand like headquarters or something in the game. Like there's a small like thing, that you could find a room, and there's like the hand symbol. Yeah,
I love Easter eggs. I didn't really like, I guess, play it that in depth yet for me to like check Easter eggs, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, whenever they have a DLC, I'll just I'll pay for that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, be better. Hopefully better than the last DLC. I don't know. Cyborg Hammerhead.
The last DLCs were not great. It's fine. They put all the effort into the Miles game and it paid off. So whatever. I can handle the bad DLCs.
Although the Miles game felt like a DLC because it was so short.
It was. But it was still like way better than that other stuff. So
for sure.
Yeah. So I'll fingers crossed. They put all the effort into every DLC now, because if I'm paying for stuff, I want it to be worth it.
Oh yeah.
On that note, I guess those are our thoughts on Spider-Man 2, Insomniac Spider-Man 2. I guess that's kind of it. I mean, we can keep going forever, but we don't want to keep you all day, and we know you got a lot of stuff to do. But Tanaya, thank you so much for joining us today and making the time to do this, and all your thoughts on Spider-Man and Daredevil, especially, and the niche interest. And I just really loved your comments about like not worrying about brands and all that bullshit, because like I just hate that approach to life. It's like there's too much else to see out there. But
yeah, I had a friend recently text me and she's like, what's your brand? I don't know what your brand is. And I'm like, I didn't even know how to respond to that, because I'm like, the brand is me. Like, I don't, and me means so many things, you know. I think the main takeaway from being such a fan of Spider-Man, especially to like bring it full circle, is that, you know, we talk about like having gifts and things like that. With great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think what has been the most empowering for me in this year, especially because it's been a discouraging year, but also in general, what has empowered me as a person is being myself. And myself is, you know, so many things, like creative, healing, a nerd, a gamer, a chef, you know, a host, a content creator, uh producer, G4, you know, like it's editor. Like there's so many different things, and I don't really feel like it means that I have to singularly focus on any of those, because I feel like that is what I've been gifted with, and it is my power and responsibility to do with all of my gifts as much as possible, or else I will be unhappy at wasted potential. I do not want to waste my potential, and my potential is vast. And that is what Spider-Man teaches me. He does not squander his potential. He is a superhero, but he is also a lover. You know, he's a photographer, you know, an artist. Like he doesn't really want to not juggle those things, and makes it very, very apparent that, you know, all of your gifts in life are so important to not waste and squander, because you have to fit yourself into a box. So
it's really well said. No, really
we're not topping that. Thank you so much for joining us. That was amazing. Where can the people find you and your resources online?
Would you say it was amazing, Spider-Man? Okay, I'll stop.
I would have.
I'll stop. You can find me at Tanaya Ree on all social media platforms except for Twitch, where I'm Riri. I'm actually considering changing my name to Tanaya Ree on there too, but a lot of people were like, "But we like Riri," and I'm like, "Okay." So Tanaya Ree on pretty much everything, and I create videos, silly videos, and gaming and cooking and things like that. You can definitely come by the Twitch and seeing me say some outlandish things, and also like doing motivational speaking. Basically, I don't know.
You have great streams.
But yeah, so it's a good time. So thank y'all for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and getting to meet Diego as well. And speak to Jean again, who I had the pleasure of working with. Such a talented person.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, I would love to be back, definitely, to talk about the Daredevil DLC coming out.
Yeah,
sounds exciting.
Yeah, no, it was a real pleasure talking to you and getting to know you and meeting you through the internet like this. Yeah, hopefully one day we'll be lucky enough to do a face-to-face. But until then, thank you. All links down to all your stuff in the descriptions to this episode on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Patreon. I'm not gonna lie, there's nothing on the Patreon right now, but you can go support the show there. There will be more.
I will
stuff
absolutely share it. Let me know.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, you're crazy. But like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. All right, take care. We have been professionally unprofessional.